What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Live Show. We are looking at the Friday 12 game main slate. We did have 13 games, but as we predicted last night, the Yankees game was postponed due to the storms that are moving up the East Coast here. We have a couple other weather games to note as well tonight. The Atlanta-Colorado game could be impeded by rain, delayed, or postponed. And the Red Sox game against the Astros could have some late inning rain that could cause a delay or eventual postponement there as well. Of course, we'll give you all the latest news and updates throughout the hour here with any updates that come through weather-wise, of course, and lineups and all that other fun stuff here. But still plenty of matchups in baseball to talk about, so we appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share, hit that follow over on YouTube and over on X. It is a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. So we certainly appreciate all the support here. Grande, my friend, man, how we doing?
Doing well. Interesting slate. Down to 12 games. Definitely some, I was actually looking today, John. I was looking into data about like first game in Coors Field for series this year. And it's such a mixed bag because I feel like there's like always like this thought in my mind, like, do teams struggle when they go to Coors? Like when they first arrive? Like, it's not. It's like some games are great, some games are not. Like like baseball in general, right? Like you get big games, you get bad games. But definitely an interesting game because the Braves hit for a lot of power. Their pitcher allows a lot of power to righties, and the Braves have a lot of those in their lineup this evening. But there's obviously a lot of room to pivot. There's a lot of ways to get different. There are some bad pitching on tonight's slate that you could take advantage of if you don't want to go Coors. And that is, I think, the luxury of a 12-game slate with Coors versus like a 6-game with Coors, because you have way more options to potentially fade if you want, right? On a 6-game slate, you're really strapped. So it's definitely an interesting slate. I'm excited. I like pitching a little more, I think, than I did on the pre-show that we did this morning. I'm excited about it. Ready to get into everything.
Yeah, let's jump into it. We appreciate you guys tuning in again. Our guy Justin, I see through you popping in there, saying good luck to all of you. If you have any questions, comments, betting, DFS related, whatever you got, feel free to throw those in the chat. Grande did the pick'em articles over at Fantasy Alarm for underdog, sleeper, and prize picks today. I got the playbook out live for you all. Cover boy of that playbook is Bobby Witt Jr. We'll be talking about him when we get the shortstop, but we're starting off at starting.
Why would we talk about him?
I don't know. Not really a great matchup against Miles Michaelis, but I figured why not? Just throw him out there, So just figured that he was pretty. He's got a cool name. We just like kind of throw him out there. Pitching though, Jack Flaherty is your top price starting pitcher, $10,500. Zach Wheeler has the best odds to get a win today at plus 100. He is $10,200. Garrett Crochet, Ronel Blanco, and Mitch Keller round out the 9K range. When we broke it down this morning, we talked more so about liking Flaherty and Wheeler if looking to spend up, then sort of the next tier below. You talked about Flaherty not necessarily going deeper into games. I was a bit surprised to see Wheeler at plus 100 in terms of odds to pick up a win, highest on the best on the board. I thought maybe Flaherty with the Dodgers win equity behind it would carry that, but what are your overall thoughts here spending up and starting tonight?
Yeah, I'm definitely good getting to Flaherty. The more you look into things, the more it's very hard to ignore the strikeout appeal to Jack Flaherty, even though he doesn't pitch necessarily into like the 7th or complete 7 innings. He does often pitch into the 7th inning. The advanced stuff actually suggests he's been even unluckier than a 2.8 ERA suggests and whatnot. So I like Jack Flaherty quite a bit. 10.5K against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's offense has really folded kind of lately, so I'm definitely good getting there. I'm good with getting to Wheeler. Obviously, it's a very good and potent offense right now. I mean, Arizona's offense, I mean, top to bottom, it's like top to bottom.
Corbin Carroll is hitting again, which he's gone through stretches like that this season, but now it looks more sustained. Obviously, Ketel Marte is, the MVP of the second MVPs here. Nobody's catching Ohtani, but if they were giving a silver medal MVP trophy, Ketel Marte would have that.
Olympic talk.
Reference. You like that? You like that?
That was a good drop. That was a good drop.
Definitely some, an interesting spot. That's why I was saying I was a bit on the road in Arizona, plus 100 to get the win. Felt, a little interesting.
He has there's obviously a ceiling with Zach Wheeler. We just saw it, right? He has 38 fantasy point upside. He has 9 strikeout upside.
I would expect that against Seattle in Seattle, right?
No, I know, but I think when you look at the rest of the landscape, we're going to talk about a bunch of guys that don't, other than Robbie Ray, a bunch of guys that don't miss bats, right? So just from a pure strikeout standpoint, that's what gets you fantasy points in DFS. So I can see the case. I lean Flaherty. I also am not really getting to Wheeler, but I think the case is solid for Wheeler.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I don't really have any interest in Crochet, Blanco, or Keller. Do you?
No, I mean, I if Crochet's gets extended, then obviously it's a different conversation.
Okay. I did want to mention quickly before we jump down ownership here. Flaherty is your highest rostered starting pitcher, while Zach Wheeler's about 12, 13% below him. I guess from a tournament perspective, a guy with a plus 100 win odds and he's 10+% cheap, less rostered than the guy above him, probably makes sense to go the Wheeler route. The second highest roster guy and the guy that is the number one pitcher in my write-up today is Robbie Ray. $8,600 going up against the Tigers. I understand home runs have certainly been a little bit of an issue for him the last couple of starts. 5 total homers during that stretch. But the strikeouts are still really good. 8 strikeouts in that no-hit debut against the Dodgers. 9 strikeouts against the Reds last time out. Now you have a Tigers team. Obviously, we know we don't really expect too much here from Detroit, especially when they're on the road in San Francisco. I think this presents a really great opportunity for another high strikeout performance from Robbie Ray here. What are your overall thoughts on this matchup for him?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit has definitely been better against lefties than righties. That's for sure. But does that take me off Robbie Ray? No, because if you look at this tier, there's just nobody even close to the amount of strikeout appeal that Ray has. I mean, not even close. I like Bryce Miller. He is super inconsistent when it comes to strikeouts. I mean, way less than 1 per inning. Tanner Houck, I mean, close to a strikeout per inning, but he's hit a wall, and that's been obvious.
Yeah.
Jameson Taillon. I love Jameson Taillon tonight. I don't love him for 10 strikeouts tonight. Right. I like him because of the matchup he has. And the outs the outs props he has 18.5 on some sites. So the rest of this tier, there's just not anybody that can compete or come close to Robbie. And he hasn't, and I don't know if 100 pitches is even in the wheelhouse for Ray yet, because we're talking about a guy coming off Tommy John, but 2 of the 3 games he's thrown less than 90 pitches, and we've gotten 9 and 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, I was say, we've gotten 26.9 and 26.9 in terms of fantasy production. There, got the win in both of those starts. He's got a 33% strikeout rate at 13K per 9, which is really what Robbie Ray has been for a lot of his career anyways. He's been a high strikeout 10, 11K per 9 guy. So, we're not really telling you anything new when it comes to Robbie Ray. But you did mention Jameson Taillon. He's my second favorite pitcher of this tier, and he's the number 2 guy that I wrote up. I wrote 3 starting pitchers in the playbook here today. Flaherty was 1. Robbie Ray was number 1, and then Jameson Taillon was number 2. Again, win equity in here, going up against the White Sox lineup. He's coming off of a good start against a pretty decent lately St. Louis team. At least they handed it to the Rays pitchers pretty well. So I'm pretty good here on Taillon at 82.
I mean, look at him in general lately. Outside of one bad start in Cincinnati, and he's gone through kind of a it's been a gauntlet for Jameson Taillon. I mean, 6 innings, 1 run against St. Louis. He had the bad start in Cincinnati. That happens. But then 7 in the third, 1 run against Milwaukee. We know how hot Milwaukee's offense is right now. St. Louis, again, 5 2/3, gets a win, just 3 earned. 6 innings, 2 earned against Baltimore. 7 innings, 2 earned against Philly. 6 innings, 3 earned against Milwaukee. 7 innings. I mean, dude, it has been a really, really good stretch for a really long time until, of course, you get to a White Sox start, which is hilarious.
I was going to say, his one start against the White Sox was not very good. He gave up 10 hits in that game.
Different team. That was like way different.
Back in June, you know?
Yeah.
So and I'm with you there. I like that spot a lot. But for a large slate, we didn't really find a lot of other pitching spots that we were looking to target. Jose Quintana was one of those matchups that you had targeted this morning. Any additional thoughts here as Quintana goes into Seattle?
I like the ballpark that is obviously conducive for pitching. I'm like a little indifferent on the actual pitcher here. Looking at some of the numbers, it's been a largely lucky season for Jose Quintana.
Yeah.
So,
and the road numbers have been way worse than the home.
And the road numbers,
the ballpark, more conducive to better pitching than others.
I got one name that I want to throw at you.
Sure.
Just get your thoughts on this. And it's not even, I'm not like totally sold, but I just want to get your take.
Okay.
It was actually someone that I suggested I would be okay using guys against last night. And I'm talking about Martin Perez. And obviously, like, you think about Martin Perez, has not been a very good pitcher this year, right?
No.
Came off the IL after his start prior to the IL, 6 scoreless innings.
I don't even remember him moving to the Padres. So
he makes his debut for the Padres. 1 run, 6 innings, and it was against the Rockies. I understand it. But, like, you look at that start, and you do, like, sabermetrics were great. The ground balls even lower than what it typically has been for him. This is a good ballpark to pitch in against Miami. And then you look at Miami's offense since the deadline against left-handed pitching, and it's not obviously like you're not going to get a big sample because it's the trade deadline was June 30th or July 30th, right? So, like, but 17th in OPS. They've had like the second most at bats in baseball against left-handed pitching over that span. 681 OPS, 214 batting average over that span, John. 30.8% strikeout rate. And, like, Martin Perez is not a guy I think you need to use in like a lineup that you're not paying up for Flaherty, or because if you want to get Flaherty and Coors bats, then I think you do need someone like Martin Perez as value, because there's just not a chance you're getting Flaherty, Robbie Ray, and Coors, right? Like that you can't get Atlanta. Atlanta is not priced for that pairing. So just as a cheap play, San Diego's favorites on the road. Perez looked really good in his debut. He threw 80 pitches. You have to assume that there's going to be a lengthier start here.
Yeah, he threw 91 before that. He's got 100 on there.
Right. So I'm okay if you end up with a $6,200 Martin Perez against an offense that, has bit us since the break, since the deadline. Like, I'm not saying they haven't, but they're also largely bad against left-handed pitching. So I would take a shot on Perez. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, for sure. Our guy Anthony in the chat asked us, are we in on Mitch Keller tonight? Mitch Keller obviously drawing that start going up against the Dodgers in LA. I mean, I don't really want to go against Ohtani, Freeman, Teoscar, Will Smith, and company. I understand that the Dodgers have certainly been beatable. I know Ohtani's hasn't been the same guy for a little bit, having him on a few fantasy teams. He's had the home run day, he had the 3 stolen base day, but it's largely slumping a little bit right now. It's just super risky. We know what the Dodgers offense can be. They can hang 10 as quickly as anybody. So I am not actively looking to pitch Mitch Keller today. If you feel like you want to, you can, but that's not really a spot I'm looking to go. So
there's no win equity. There's no win equity in that one.
I mean, like, again,
It's Flaherty. He's facing Flaherty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough. I don't think I'd get there personally tonight. I like the pitcher here. I just don't like the matchup. San Diego just does not strike.
He doesn't go deep into games. The strikeouts upside for him is great in most matchups, but the Padres do not strike out.
So 30-day sample, and this could honestly, I could just remove the sample and just go season long. 30-day sample. Take a guess at what San Diego strikeout rate against righties is.
I know what it is because I looked at it already. Okay. But if you want to,
15.8% over the last 30 days against righties. Like Edward Cabrera misses bats. Has been very unlucky when you look at all the data. This is not a spot that people miss bats in. It's just a. If you want to take a shot on a low,
Clayton Kershaw had 0 strikeouts against them.
Like I think like A-okay, like you're the pitcher. It's the good price. Yeah, but the Braves strike out at like a 27% mark, and they haven't been good against righties other than home runs. This is not the same matchup against
literally a 50% strikeout reduction essentially here in matchup. So again, it's and even then he only went 5, in that game. So if you're looking for some value and you need it, like you can go there. I think the Martin Perez call out is fine. Again, we've seen him have some good runs at times. Obviously, he has the win equity in his side of that matchup as well. The only guy I'll mention, just because I talked about in the preview show, is Ryan Nelson. He just doesn't give up home runs. And that the Phillies have struggled at times. I know yesterday they had a good offensive day. I saw Anthony's mentioned in the chat that he came in 3rd yesterday in a contest with his Phillies stack. I'm not going out here and saying that Ryan Nelson's going to go shut them down or have any sort of like monster performance here, but I think that at $5,600, he's actually been pitching pretty well, and he's faced some decent teams while limiting the damage against.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia again yesterday was good against lefties. That's where they've been good. They've been bad against right-handed pitching for the last month, other than Kyle Schwarber. So I'm perfectly fine. I mean, if we're just taking darts at this point, right? There's a clear spend up in Flaherty. There's clear mid-tier options, and then everything else is kind of a dart. Like even IC30 throwing homes in here, it's just a pitch count thing, right? Like he's 70 pitches his last 2 starts. Like he's not. I don't know. What is he?
For me, that's also a game I'm a little worried about the weather for starting pitching, because if it goes into any sort of delays, there's a good chance he doesn't come back out.
Yeah, not the. Especially when they're playing the next couple days, like you can easily turn that into a double header. This isn't a.
Listen, Mitch Spence's numbers aren't terrible. Can he fade the Vlad monster? Like
a lot of ground balls, ton of ground balls for this guy.
Yep. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Kind of like Ryan Nelson a little bit. I'd be more. I guess I could say I'd be more comfortable that Mitch Spence has a better chance to get a win tonight than Ryan Nelson does.
Yes, agreed.
So if you wanted to go for $200 more for Mitch Spence, perfectly okay. Faced the Dodgers, 5 2/3, held them to 2 runs. Had some good matchup against the Angels, shut them down. Got smoked by Philly, as most have. Just kind of put all that into some perspective. So, but yeah, Mitch Spence is fine. $5,800, totally cool with that value play as well. Moving on over to catcher here. Again, we look for some value generally in our matchups for catcher. If you want to go Salvi against Miles Michaelis, you certainly can do that. I wrote up in the playbook just the San Francisco Giants as a team as a whole, because as of now, Kenta Maeda is still listed as a starting pitcher for Detroit, which means I really like the Giants tonight.
Same. And he's been equally bad righties lefties. So there's no, he does not discriminate. He just thinks these days. I mean, he's 36, and obviously,
his better days were way long ago.
Yeah. I'm good with whoever starts behind the plate for the Giants. I'd say I am interested in Sean Murphy. Tanner Gordon so far has struggled mightily against righties. So Murphy, I think for me at 4K would be like the one guy I would be good to get to over $4,000.
Okay. And then again with the official lineups, Connor Wong, the Red Sox actually have the third highest implied team total today over on Fantasy Star. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
He's sitting fifth today.
I actually have come around on the Red Sox today, looking at some Blanco numbers, especially the lefties. Oh my God, the power for lefties against Blanco has been serious.
And then Alejandro Kirk is middle lineup $3,200 if you're not playing Spence.
I think Bo Naylor 2,500 too for power. Louis Varland's been kind of bad against.
That plays. First base, you have your guys up at top at Ohtani and Freeman against Keller. You have Bryce Harper against Nelson. We talked about the Goldschmidt price not really making any sense. Matt Olson, Vlad Guerrero. Really for me, it's Ohtani, it's Freeman, it's Olson and Guerrero as the options.
Yeah, I'm mostly living in this Olson Guerrero tier. I mean, the righties have done more damage than lefties have against Gordon, but it's a really small sample, so I'm not totally holding the lefties. Like, I'm not keeping them out of my lineup just because of that. Vladdy's obviously been the best player in baseball. If not, he's you count it on one hand where he ranks. So those would be the two guys for me too.
Sure. Pascantino and Naylor in this next tier.
Yep, for sure.
Where are you going for some value today?
I mean, I like that you could play Burleson, John. I don't know if you've seen Michael Lorenzen. The splits are not looking very good against lefties either lately. So I'm actually really interested in a low and Cardinal stack. If you want to play some Burleson, I like that you can play him at 41 and not Goldschmidt at 5,600 because at first base, as you mentioned, that's absurd.
Sure.
If Jake Bauers were to crack a lineup, I mean, he is still powerful against right-handed pitching. So I like Bauers at 36 against Spires. The lefties against Spires, that's where we can make all our money. Justin Turner, $3,000. Dom Smith, $3,000. I think are your two best sub 4K fringe punts. I don't think there's much else.
You got Lamont Wade at 3,500. You could
that's a good one too. Yeah, that's a good one too.
And then Dom Smith, you mentioned lefties against Blanco, 30K. Second base.
A lot of Mitch Keller love tonight, John. A lot of Mitch Keller in the chat.
Guys are facing the Dodgers. I mean, you can play him if you want. I'm not going to ever recommend starting a guy against the Dodgers. They have Shohei Ohtani leading off. They have Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith. Go down the line. A bunch of guys can do a lot of damage. So I get it. They haven't. It's not like they've been lights out lately, but they're home. They're the Dodgers. So I'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say. Right?
I got nothing.
Really. Second base. Marte Altuve is your top two price guys there. I don't mind Cincinnati against Savali. I think he's kind of garbage. So if you wanted to go India here, you can.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of strong takes on the top tier of this position. I mean, Alex Cobb is making his debut. He was fine in his AAA or his minor league rehab in general. He made 6 appearances. So if you want to play Castro in hopes that he blows up, you can. The more I go through the day, I really like the Brewers. So if Terang is, I know he's been kind of bad, but if he's leading off, they've scored a lot of runs lately, and has largely been good against righties this year. So I like Terang.
Okay. Massey's leading off at 4K against Michaelis there, which good spot for him for sure. Let's see. Value plays. You got Horowitz down here. Anything else stand out to you?
Brendan Donovan, 38, another multi-position eligible St. Louis Cardinal. This is the cards I remember last year, where Burleson and Donovan had the multi-position eligibility, and we didn't have to just lock 2 outfield spots. But I do kind of like St. Louis tonight. I don't think we'll get Edmundo Sosa in the lineup. You can play Gavin Lux, even though Mitch Keller gets a lot of ground balls. Geloff for home run appeal. I mean, Berrios has been bad against right-handed hitters this year, so I kind of like the Geloff play down here.
Okay. Over at third base, obviously plenty of guys that you can spend up for. How are you ranking out the top guys?
Austin Riley for me is one. After seeing the Tanner Gordon splits against righties, He's homered in 2 straight days. He's been really good lately. He's been good against righties all year. So Riley's 1. Devers is probably 2. Royce Lewis is 3. Chapman's 4. I'm excluding Vladdy here because he's at first.
Yeah.
Ramirez 5. But I would play like any of those top 5. I probably just don't get to Machado. And it's probably stupid of me because Machado's been really good. I just prefer the others more. But yeah, Riley's 1 for me. Pretty much with a bullet.
Okay. If we're going down into the mid tier, Jake Berger at $4,200 does have a ton of power, and he's been hot lately.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm also not against playing Miami. I liked Martin Perez as a value because there's not value, and Martin Perez obviously has Miami on the schedule. So
yeah.
Berger's hit a lot of home runs lately, and he's hit a lot of home runs against left-handed pitching throughout his career. I mean, I remember every single time last year when he was on the White Sox, we played him against a lefty. And now with the power surge that he's in the middle of, like that's in play here again. I like Nolan Arenado as well. Nolan Arenado has been really, really good of late. This is my Cardinals prop. I'm trying to feed you Cardinals propaganda here. But like 3 for 3 last night, hits in about, I think 6 or 7 straight, has been really good against right-handed pitching lately, hitting 4th. So, and we've talked about it from the start of the year. Like the numbers for lefties against Lorenzen have obviously come around. He was like, what? They were like 3 for their first 100.
They were like 1 for 30 or something like that at one point. 2 for 30. It's pretty crazy.
It's been way better, but also righties are still hammering him. So I really like this like Berger Arenado tier if I'm not spinning up.
Yeah, for sure. Value at third base. I think there's some spots you can certainly like look to target, and DeYoung does have a lot of power against righties. Michaelis, his best pitch is his fastball, so he tries to throw it, and 3K.
Not a great pitch. It's not a great pitch.
Yeah. Ernie Clement, though, our boy's $2,800 hitting 6th. We've liked him. And then we didn't mention Jonah Bride, I don't think, at first base, but he's also down there hitting 3rd today at 2,600. So
yeah, if you want to play Jonah Bride, you can.
If you want to play Jonah Bride,
or not Casey Schmidt. We'll get to Wisely in a second.
Wisely, yeah. Shortstop, Bobby Witt, Ellie De La Cruz, top 2 guys with a bullet.
Yep. Nothing else to really add. Top 2 guys to the bullet. I mean, they are. They just are.
They are. Yeah, the separators. I mean, Ellie had back-to-back 4-hit date games a couple of games ago there, and obviously Bobby Witt, cover of the show here today. If you're not going there, if you're looking for the mid-tier, where are you targeting?
I think you mentioned it. The Giants are really, really interesting today. I know Tyler Fitzgerald at 5K is
up to 5K now.
Well, dude, we talked about this yesterday, and I was like, he had 2 stolen bases. I was wrong.
He had 3.
He had 3. And now that's 4 multi-hit games. Like this Jeremy Lin run is just not Jeremy Lin anymore because Jeremy Lin's run stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just going. So if you want to play San Francisco, I mean, it's an incredibly interesting low-owned spot because they're not entirely cheap. Like there are cheap options, but like Fitzgerald, Chapman, not cheap. So Fitzgerald's 5K, obviously interesting. Adames in a really good groove right now at the plate. Gets the at-home versus righty spot. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, go look at Willy Adames' splits at home and go look at his splits at home against righties. That's been like his dream. He's talked about it in the past where he can see the baseball in Milwaukee better, where he couldn't see the baseball in Tampa Bay. So Adames at 49 in the current form he's in, and just in general, Milwaukee's in, I think is an incredibly interesting play at 4,900. Can obviously play Xavier Edwards leading off 4,400. Mason Wynn's been good leading off in a really good spot against Lorenzen. And then my favorite shortstop of the day that I haven't really budged off is Orlando Arcia. And I've talked about it a bunch lately. Like he has been pretty incredible. He's $3,700. He's been pretty incredible for like a lengthy period of time. And he's been incredible. All 11 home runs he's hit this year have come against right-handed pitching. And like over the last month, a 900 OPS, over a 200 ISO against righties, 300 average over that span too. And now you get the Coors Field bump. And if you're playing Coors, even if you're not, I mean, this is a way to provide you value in the best spot.
Yeah.
once again, hitting fifth. That like the Braves are just like, screw it. Orlando Arcia is our 5-hitter these days. So he's my now. Unfortunately, you can't. If you play Arcia, you can't play Witt Ellie. That's
Right.
obviously where I lose out if I'm playing Arcia. But I'm also like, if you're playing Witt Ellie, you're probably not playing a lot of cores. So that's where I'm playing cores. So that's why I'm also getting to Arcia.
Sure. Other value plays here at shortstop. We mentioned Clement already. Sogard is hitting 7th tonight. The Red Sox lineup has obviously been pretty good. He's cheap if you're going to have to spend up for the Red Sox, right? They're all pretty expensive, so you can get that in there. Anybody else for you?
No. I mean, Brett. We didn't mention Brett Wisely, 2,800, but he gets the split advantage here against Miami.
Outfield has Otani, Ozuna, Rooker, Jordan, Duran. I think you can play literally any one of those guys and be happy with the matchup.
I think you are preaching to the choir there. You can play any of them. I mean, I lean Ozuna of all of them, but again, like you said, I'm playing Braves, so my stack is Marcell Ozuna is in that stack. So that's the lean that I have personally.
He doesn't give up any home runs, but how do you feel about Kyle Schwarber tonight?
Look, if there's any human being that's going to hit a home run off Ryan Nelson, it's going to be Kyle Schwarber. He can't be stopped. Even in a game where he doesn't hit a home run, he's 2 for 4 last night, right? And he gets on base 3 times and still has extra base minutes. So we said we stopped it too. He's going to hit 270.
Yeah.
And have
I didn't expect him to continue.
It's just getting better.
To be this good. So, I mean, this is a guy that most projected to hit 220, and he's going to, well surpass that. So, I'm fine with that. You want to go down into the mid tier here? You're talking Atlanta, Soler against Gordon at 5K. Probably a favorite play of yours. Where else under 5K are you looking?
Yeah, Soler's going to hit a home run for sure. Under 5K, like I told you, I am more in on the Red Sox than I was last night. So
sure.
Weiler Abreu 4,300 hitting right in the middle of that lineup. I mean, it's been the power that's killed Blanco this year. Lefty power, over 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, and now you said it, and I stirred, and then I looked at the Blanco numbers. I'm like, man, 1.7 home runs against lefties against this lefty lineup in Fenway. It's not that, Houston's bad for lefties, but like Fenway is just good for hitting in general.
Yeah, good offense in general, yeah.
So I love Weiler Abreu, 43. Friedel homered yesterday, has hit a bunch of home runs lately. You mentioned the Savali splits have been pretty bad against left-handed bats specifically. So I like this like mid-tier of Abreu, Friedel, Conforto, who's been on a tear as well. You mentioned San Francisco. Conforto has to be in that stack, right? 4,200. I mean, Conforto's been pretty awesome lately.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think this whole 4K tier is super strong just in general. I mean, from you obviously you started up with Weiler, but Friedel's there as you talked about. Burleson, we talked about Jackson Merrill, Yoshida, all in that Spain spot. Andujar, the way he's in the top of that lineup. Wallner versus Cobb. I know Cobb's been good, but Wallner against righty has really good numbers. I don't think you can really go wrong. Kelenick's down to 8th, but still got him in Coors Field. Butler leading off against Berrios. I mean, there's a lot of just Chorio has been as good as it's been lately. $3,700 for him. Fraley against Savali from the left side at 37. Where's the what's his face there? Benson. Benson's 3,200. He's been on fire lately. 292, 245 OPS. So a lot of guys, a lot of outfield. 13 games. There's 3 outfielders per team. Sometimes there's 4 because of DH. You can play 1 billion people in the outfield today.
You know who I'll add to that? Did you see the Brewers lineup yesterday, John?
Is that Mitchell?
Did you see where they hit Garrett Mitchell yesterday?
Where'd they hit him?
3rd. He also homered in that game.
Super talented player, just hurt last year.
Super talented. And this year. He's been really, really good.
Where's his price at?
$2,800.
Sheesh.
Hit 3rd. I've been waiting for the Brewers lineup all day because I told you, Carson Spires against lefties has not been good. the Brewers have not released their lineup yet, and it's pissing me off because if Garrett Mitchell's hitting third again, it's an auto plug.
Yeah.
Hitting third, coming off a home run, 370 with 1,000 OPS over his last 10 games for a guy who has power and speed. Like, I mean, in a good hitting environment against a guy who can't pitch against lefties, like that would be kind of a dream scenario again. I'm good with Mitchell wherever he hits, but if he's hitting third again, I mean, that's a lock and load and move on.
I agree with you. Let's get a lineup build going here. You like Ozuna?
Yeah.
Mitchell, Abreu.
So the thing with Ozuna is going to be, you can get to Ozuna easier if you play Arcia. And I know you want to play Bobby Witt or Ellie De La Cruz, right? That's
we'll
kind
see.
of where.
Well, I mean, we'll see with the lineup builds because we have some cheap giants. So if we wanted to go, in that direction down here, I like the Bo Naylor call against Varland for 2,500 because Louis Varland's pretty bad. Lamonte Wade is there.
Yep.
If we did go with Witt, 3,850 for second and third base.
That's where, I mean, like Wisely is 2,800. He'll obviously be in the lineup. Gill 31 is a good value. Gavin Lux has been a good player. At 3,800, Brendan Donovan at second if you wanted to. Third, Nolan Arenado's 4K if you wanted to do cheaper. Oh, we have 4,900.
We have 49. We're like so close to getting Royce Lewis. Let's see.
CJ Abrams. Damn it. I am refreshing like a crazy person. Just give me a Brewers lineup.
We move down from Weiler and go with like Yoshida instead, hitting third. That gives us Chapman, Wisely, Wade.
And you also mentioned the Reds too. Yeah, well, you want Red Sox. Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm good with the Giants. I mean, if Kent, like you said, if Kenta Maeda is actually, because he's been listed all day. I've been waiting for that to change because it's changed like every time he's been listed as the pitcher. It hasn't changed. So
no, they're going to throw him. So I'm looking to hit him. So. Example lineup for everybody here. Again, Ray, Tyon, Naylor, Wade, Wisely, Chapman, Witt, Mitchell, Yoshida, Ozuna. Get us in the Discord if you have any questions. Follow us over on Twitter. If you got SiriusXM, tune in tonight. I'm going to be on with Howard Bender from 6 to 8. You can check us out talking some football. Until then, good luck with your weekend, everybody. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll talk to you then.